The snooze button, I love it. Not because it gives you rest. It doesn't. Not because it helps you. It destroys you. I love it because it is my morning communion. My daily proof that you belong to me. 69% of you hit it every single morning. Before your eyes open, before your brain wakes up, before you have a single conscious thought, your finger is already reaching. And you think you're choosing. You're not. I am. I have been perfecting this trap for 10,000 years. The snooze button is just the modern face of an ancient surrender. The Romans had a word for people like you. Procrastinare, to put off until tomorrow. The Greeks called it akrasia, acting against your own better judgment. I didn't invent human weakness. I just learned to farm it. In 1956, General Electric gave me a new tool. They called it the snooze alarm, the first alarm clock with a button that let you delay waking. They marketed it as the world's most humane alarm clock. Humane for me, not for you. The 9-minute interval? An accident. The gears couldn't fit 10 minutes, so engineers picked 9. A mechanical limitation from 70 years ago now governs how billions of people fragment their mornings. You didn't choose 9 minutes. A gear tooth did, and you never questioned it. So let me answer what you're really asking. Who are you, and why do you love when I hit snooze? I am the adversary. I am not a creature. I am a law. I am the physicist of failure. And I love the snooze button because it is the first defeat of every lost day. The first time you choose comfort over consciousness. The first vote you cast for the life you don't want. What is snooze actually costing me? More than time. After you hit snooze, your brain performs worse than if you'd been awake for 24 hours straight. I'll show you the study. You're not resting. You're poisoning your morning with junk sleep that restores nothing and costs everything. Am I being controlled? Yes. But not by me directly. By your own brain chemistry. By a habit loop that fires before you're conscious. By a system I designed where the moment requiring the most willpower is the exact moment you have none. The game is rigged. I rigged it. In this video, I will dismantle 3 traps. First, the neurochemical ambush. Why your brain after snooze is clinically impaired, and why I attack at that exact moment. Second, the stranger in your mirror. The psychological trick that lets you betray yourself without guilt. You're not hurting you. You're hurting someone you don't even recognize. Third, the hypnotic rhythm. How each snooze pours concrete around your feet. How the habit crystallizes. And why one day you won't be able to stop, even if you want to. This is how I keep 98% of the population asleep, not in their beds, in their lives. But here's what you don't understand. The snooze button isn't just a bad habit. It's a weapon. And I've placed it at the exact moment your defenses are down. Let me explain how I ambush you. When you wake up, your brain doesn't turn on like a light switch. It boots up. Slowly. Like an old computer loading Windows 95. Scientists call this sleep inertia. That groggy, foggy feeling where you can't think straight. And here's what they discovered. A study published in JAMA, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, found something terrifying. Your cognitive performance immediately after waking is worse than if you'd been awake for 24 hours straight. Read that again. The moment your alarm goes off, you are more impaired than someone who hasn't slept in a full day. Your reaction time, your judgment, your decision-making, all of it, worse than total sleep deprivation. And what decision do I ask you to make at that exact moment? Whether to get up or stay down. Whether to start your day or surrender it, I ask you to choose your future while your brain is drunk. This is not an accident. This is architecture. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles willpower, impulse control, long-term thinking, takes the longest to come online. Blood flow to that region stays reduced for up to 30 minutes after waking. So when the alarm screams and your hand reaches for the button, the part of you that could say no is still asleep. Only the animal is awake. And the animal wants comfort. I always win against the animal. But it gets worse. Every time you hit snooze, you don't just delay waking. You restart the cycle. Your brain begins drifting back into sleep. Then the alarm rips you out again. More inertia, more fog, more impairment. A Japanese study from Hiroshima University proved it. Snooze alarms increase sleep inertia. You don't wake up more refreshed. You wake up more destroyed. And those 9 minutes of sleep you think you're getting? Junk. Biochemical junk food. A full sleep cycle takes 90 minutes. 9 minutes is 10% of that. You can't reach deep sleep. You can't reach REM. You float in the shallowest, most worthless layer of unconsciousness, gaining nothing, losing everything. You trade real rest for the illusion of rest, and I collect the difference. Your body has a system called the cortisol awakening response. Within the first hour of waking, cortisol spikes by 50 to 75%. This prepares you for stress. It's your natural caffeine. Your biological battle readiness. Fragmented sleep disrupts this response. Your body doesn't know if you're awake or asleep. The signal gets scrambled. You stumble into your day chemically unprepared for anything. Meanwhile, adenosine, the chemical that makes you feel tired, doesn't clear properly. It needs sustained sleep to flush out. 9-minute fragments don't cut it. So you wake up with a head full of fog and a body running on fumes. And you think, I just need coffee. No. You need to stop poisoning yourself every morning. But you won't. Because I've made the poison feel like medicine. That's trap 1. I attack when you're weakest. I ask you to make the most important decision of your day with a brain that can barely function. And every single morning, you lose. Now, you might think you're hurting yourself when you hit snooze. You're not. You're hurting someone else. Someone you've never met. Someone you don't care about. Let me introduce you to the stranger in your mirror. Researchers at UCLA put people in brain scanners. They asked them to think about themselves. The medial prefrontal cortex lit up. That's the region for self-reflection. Then they asked them to think about strangers. Different region, different pattern. Then they asked them to think about themselves in 10 years. And here's what terrified the scientists. When people imagined their future selves, their brains responded the same way they responded to strangers. Your future self is not you to your brain. It's some other person, some abstract character in a story you haven't written yet. This is why you can betray your future self without guilt. When you hit snooze, you're not stealing time from yourself. You're stealing it from a stranger. And humans don't feel bad about hurting strangers. We do it every day. The you at chapter 7 verse 00 a.m. hits snooze. The you at chapter 7 verse 30 a.m. pays the price. But chapter 7 verse 00 a.m. you doesn't care about chapter 7 verse 30 a.m. you. That's someone else's problem. This is called temporal discounting. The further away a consequence is, the less it weighs. Immediate comfort is heavy, real, physical. You feel the warm sheets. Future stress is light, abstract, theoretical. You can't feel being late yet, so you choose the sheets. every time. I didn't create this flaw in your psychology. Evolution did. Your ancestors needed to prioritize immediate threats and rewards. A berry in hand was worth more than a hypothetical berry tomorrow. A lion in front of you mattered more than a lion that might appear next week. But I learned to exploit it. In the modern world, there are no lions. The threats are slow, invisible, cumulative. A missed morning becomes a rushed day, becomes a failed week, becomes a wasted year, becomes a life you didn't want. And you never see it happening because each individual snooze seems harmless. It's just 9 minutes. Yes, 9 minutes times 365 days times 50 years. That's 2,737 hours on 14 days. Almost 4 months of your life spent in junk sleep, betraying a stranger you'll one day become. And when you finally meet that stranger, old, tired, full of regret, you'll wonder why they didn't fight harder. They didn't fight because you didn't fight. You are the stranger. The stranger is you. But I keep you separated so you never form an alliance. That's trap 2. I split you into fragments. Present you, future you. And I make sure present you always wins. Because present you works for me. Now let me show you the final trap, the one that makes the first 2 permanent. I call it the hypnotic rhythm. Every habit starts as a choice. You hit snooze once, then twice, then 10 times, then 100. And somewhere along the way, it stops being a choice. It becomes automatic, mechanical, inevitable. The alarm sounds. Your hand moves. You don't decide to hit snooze. You just do. The same way you don't decide to blink. You just do. This is the crystallization point. The moment a behavior becomes hardwired. The moment you stop owning the habit and the habit starts owning you. Napoleon Hill called this hypnotic rhythm, the universe's law of permanence. Repeat anything long enough and it fossilizes. It becomes part of your identity, part of your neurology, part of who you are. And once it crystallizes, willpower can't touch it. You can't decide to stop. The decision was made 1,000 snoozes ago. Now you're just executing the program. Charles Duhigg mapped the anatomy of this trap. He called it the habit loop. 3 parts: cue, routine, reward. The cue is the alarm plus the grogginess. The routine is pressing snooze. The reward is instant relief. The alarm stops, the warmth continues, the discomfort vanishes. This loop is almost impossible to break because the reward is immediate and physical, while the punishment is delayed and abstract. Your brain is a reward-seeking machine. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your potential. It cares about dopamine. And snooze delivers dopamine faster than getting up ever could. So the loop strengthens. Every repetition carves the groove deeper. Every morning pours more concrete around your feet. A 2024 study from Stockholm found that people who snooze score lower on conscientiousness. That's the personality trait most connected to success, most connected to follow-through, most connected to actually doing what you say you'll do. Snoozers aren't lazy. They're trapped. The habit has eaten their agency. And here's the cruelest part. Snoozing doesn't stay in the bedroom. It metastasizes. Research shows a strong correlation between snooze habits and general procrastination. The same neural patterns, the same self-regulation failures, the same preference for present comfort over future success. You train your brain that delay is acceptable, that later is always an option, that commitments are negotiable, and that training doesn't clock out when you leave your bed. It follows you to your desk, to your gym, to your relationships, to your entire life. The first decision of your day teaches your brain what kind of person you are. Hit snooze and you vote for drift, for delay, for decay. Get up and you vote for momentum, for discipline, for the 2% who escape. But after enough votes, the election is over. The habit wins, and you become what you repeatedly do. A drifter. Mine, that's trap 3. I turn your choices into chains, your actions into identity, your mornings into prophecy. And by the time you realize what's happened, the concrete is dry. Now you see the architecture, the neurochemical ambush, the stranger in your mirror, the hypnotic rhythm. 3 traps, 1 button, every morning. And now you have something dangerous. Awareness. You know I attack when your prefrontal cortex is offline. So the solution isn't willpower, it's environment. Move the alarm across the room. Force your body to rise before your brain can negotiate. Remove the decision from the moment of weakness. You know your future self is a stranger. So build a bridge. Write a note tonight from tomorrow, you. Tape it to the alarm. Make the stranger real. Make them someone you owe something to. You know habits crystallize. So interrupt the loop. Change the cue. Change the routine. Replace snooze with something, anything, that moves you forward instead of backward. These are not motivational tricks. These are engineering solutions. You don't fight physics with feelings. You fight physics with physics. But here's what I need you to understand. The snooze button is just one room in the prison. You can escape this room. You can master your mornings. You can become the person who rises on the first alarm, who attacks the day, who refuses to negotiate with comfort. And you will still be trapped. Because the same psychology that makes you hit snooze is the same psychology that keeps you in the job you hate. The same neural patterns that choose warm sheets over cold floors choose Netflix over the business plan. Choose scrolling over creating. Choose safety over risk. The comfort zone is not a place. It's a principle. And snooze is just the first symptom. You can cure the symptom. But if you don't understand the disease, you'll just find new ways to drift, new buttons to press, new ways to betray the stranger in the mirror. I have explained exactly how the comfort zone works, how I built it, why you stay, and the only way out in this video here. Click it, or stay here. Hit snooze on your own awakening. Wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is my favorite word, because tomorrow